Another desert. Sportskeeda Wrestling. What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin Kellum. I'm coming to you from the studios of Q101, the most awesome, fantabulous alternative rock radio station. I'll be on air for them today. You can listen to that, but more importantly, you're watching and listening to this right now on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Joining me, as always, Nick from Sacktown, Sacramento, California. We always have to translate these Pacific Standard Time zones. And also joining us is somebody I've known from the wrestling media world who's gotten the goodies of being in the press section of a WWE show or two with him, Mr. Zach Hadorn. Zach, you have a brand new book about Stone Cold Steve Austin. We'll be talking about it.
Yeah. Hey, guys, look, it is so good to be here. I'm pumped. It's great to do some work with both you guys. And, thanks for having me on.
All right, so we'll dig into the topics of the day and the topics that are coming up, and we'll speculate, and hopefully we'll be in and out of here in a little bit. But if you're just watching us live, go ahead and hit the like button. That's the thing you have to do on the internet. I know everyone tells you on the channels and different things you like, but it generally does help us. If you're not someone who creates content on the internet, that is generally something you do that helps us out. But I want to know your predictions for the Queen and King of the Ring going down in Saudi Arabia. We'll talk about AEW Double or Nothing and the pressure behind the scenes on this show, Zach. It does feel like there is a cooker underneath the feet of some people in Jacksonville to deliver a very special show under the circumstances we're in, and TV contract news. We'll cover all of that here in the next 30 minutes or so. But let's get into it here. We're in the semifinals of the King and Queen of the Ring. Zach, you're the guest. What have you thought of this so far? I got to say, this has been one of the more compelling tournament things I've ever seen WWE do on television, where it seems like every match has its own story, its own angle, or they're just going for broke out there and they get a significant amount of time.
I'm with you, man. This has been really well done, start to finish. And I think a couple things are at play. The first being, you got like some of the biggest stars that you have on SmackDown and Raw in this tournament. In recent years, when they did King of the Ring, it was lower level talent, all right, and you're going to dress up as a king or a queen, and like that's kind of it, and blah, blah. It is what it is. Here, like, there seems to be a renewed effort to put real stakes behind this, as in if you win, like it's an elevation of your career. And that's a big deal. And I think that's really helped the tournament. I also think that WWE hasn't been afraid to book, top stars against top stars in here and then try to at least do finishes that matter. I mean,
it felt like in the years past, they would hold off from some of those things. And there's even
exactly.
Yeah.
And like here you've got like, tonight, for example, we're recording this on Monday, or live here on Monday. It's Gunther against Jey Uso. I mean, that, theoretically, you'd want to protect both those guys. Someone's going to lose tonight. And I think that's been a key to keeping things fresh.
And also, I think not everyone has to be undefeated, because we had Roman Reigns was undefeated for so long, and Gunther was so protected for so long. And there's some guys you love who can take a loss. And that's not something that WWE does most often. Outside of here and there, you don't get shocked. It's a different thing. Gotten a little bit more fundamental. Nick, what's your take on this whole thing? And where do we stand on the semis as it stands with the matches and everything like that?
So for the men's side, for the King of the Ring tournament, we are in the semifinals, and we have Randy Orton taking on Tama Tonga, and Gunther, of course, is taking on Jey Uso. And that Gunther and Jey Uso match, like you said, that could be a PLE match. That is a big time main event match. Main event Jey Uso, of course. But I love how we're getting that
main event Gunther.
This will be the main event Gunther for sure. Definitely.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But on the women's side here in the Queen of the Ring, we have Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria and Nia Jax and Bianca Belair. So also some great matches there on the women's side. Very intriguing. I'm locked in. I can't wait to watch these matches. So
if you're watching live, let us know who you guys think is going to win this whole thing. It's an interesting scenario. Give me the women. It's Lyra Valkyrie and who again?
Io Sky.
Io Sky, and then we had Nia Jax and
Bianca Belair.
See, that's a tough call. Really tough call. And Jade, had the protected loss. Wild finish with her on SmackDown this past week. Yeah. Nia Jax getting into it with her child at ringside. Oh. I always love a working kid. I love a good kayfabe kid. I love a good wrestler's son or daughter who's in on it. And Jade's cargo her daughter was so in it. She went to baby, I'm fine, it's okay, and rings it, and then bam, just Nia Jax slams her and says, "Your mom sucks." No, she doesn't. Oh, moments like that you can only have. And Jade Cargill, the bloom is not off the rose in terms of exposing her. She's still very, very new wrestler. You can see where there's some things there. But she looks like $1 million. She talks like $1 million. She'll wrestle soon like $1 million, but they're paying her probably $1 million, right? So I mean,
Right.
like, what moments like that you can pull off and execute properly and have the right emotion. I love her in that. And everyone's like, oh, they should have kept her on. She kept her undefeated. No, come on. And also, if you're mad about Nia Jax winning, you're supposed to be. Like, so, I mean, like, that's another thing with the smart marks. I got to tell you guys, like, there's supposed to be people you root against in these things. And you're supposed to not like villains. Some villains are cool villains, like a Darth Vader villain. But Nia Jax is not that. She is Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers. You just flat out hate her. You know, you're supposed to nasty stuff. She's mean.
I love that comparison. That's great.
King of the Ring. All right. And this is a wild one by Elvis, too. What if we get an all Samoan here, all bloodline tournament final in Saudi Arabia? Some people are saying this is the way it's going to go on the men's side. King of the Ring. Like I said, they made it compelling. They made you guess about this. Tama Tonga is a relatively new superstar. I mean, diehard fans know him from New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he's still a very new act to a lot of people in WWE, right, Zach?
He definitely is. I mean, and I think so far he's done a really nice job of kind of integrating himself into WWE style wrestling. He comes from New Japan. That's where he spent most of his recent career.
Absolutely knows how to find the camera and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been great with that. And like really comes off as a compelling second to Solo Sikoa right now. So, I mean, I think like there would be an urge on my part to go with him on this, just to keep giving credibility to that new bloodline faction and to just build them up and just keep them, relevant with actual wins. That wouldn't be my pick here, but I could totally see the argument for going with Tama here to really just emphasize how destructive and dangerous that faction can be.
WWE Nels here is with this. He says WWE all day. Of course, we're asking. This is a big weekend. I'm going to get to AEW Double or Nothing. You have both pay-per-views this weekend.
Yeah,
Double or Nothing will be on Sunday night, and AEW will be on Sunday night, and WWE will be on Saturday afternoon. An interesting position for them. You I know, Nick, you're a big proponent of Saturday pay-per-views, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I love them. Bring me more.
Bring me more. I wanted my Saturday night. I'll take it. People just wanted your Sunday free. I know everyone in the Zach, you and I talk to people in the UK all the time. We're like, we love the Saturday pay-per-views.
Saturday pay-per-views.
Yeah. Other people saying they wouldn't mind Gunther. Other people saying Jey Uso. The thing is, I don't think Jey Uso needs it. The guy's so over right now. I don't think he needs this as much as the other guys do. He has more of a compelling story. But I do think Tama Tonga as a king is odd because he's playing the second. I think this is Gunther's thing to win. I think this is a way to reboot Gunther. I think this is a way to get him ready to storm into Germany as the Austrian, relatively the European, Central European figure, and take on Cody. And this will be Cody versus Gunther in a big match, a bash at Berlin. They need a big match there, and maybe they even do a return. King Gunther has a ring to it. He looks and acts like a ruthless war king. For me, it's him. People saying King Nick. I don't know which one can we talk about there. Nick Khan?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So that one.
Other people think Gunther will get screwed out of the King of the Ring by Giovanni tonight. More than likely, that's part of it. It's true. Giovanni was a part of the Imperium faction. Of course, he got gooned up and beat up by Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther there. So before we get into AEW Double or Nothing, we're about 9 minutes in the show. It's just other guy who's pretty popular in wrestling right now, really popular for his endorsements of cats recently. Is Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the greatest of all time. Zach, you wrote a book about him. A lot of people get into wrestling want to write books. And you're writing a book about somebody who's had a couple, stories written about him, documentaries, a bunch of different things. There's a lot of stories about Stone Cold Steve Austin have been told, but you did stunning. Tell me about the concept of this book and why this book is different. Maybe why someone who's just a lifelong Stone Cold Steve Austin fan needs to get this book. Give me the hard side.
Yeah. So this book is different from your typical wrestling book at this point. What we focus on in this book is the artistry of Austin's in-ring work. So there is some like biographical information to kind of give a context of the different matches that we talk about. But mainly the meat and the essence of the book is looking at his matches in almost like a transcribed way, and then analyzing those matches with the art of the work in mind. And so it treats pro wrestling as an art form. And we look at Austin's career from the beginning to the end, just not in a biographical kind of way. It's all rooted in the in-ring work. So we have the book broken out into the different eras of his career. So it's his rookie year, 1989, 1990, Stunning Steve, Hollywood Blondes, Post Blondes, ECW Austin, Ringmaster, the beginnings of Stone
And so
Cold.
you kind of like pop into different parts of his career.
Yeah.
Here's how he's portraying that character. Here's how he's doing it in the ring. And you kind of keep everything away from the ring separate, right? Because a lot of fans are kind of already know that or would hear that. This kind of isolates his work then. Am I correct?
Exactly. This is like definitely like a microscope, like right on his work. Because like you said, look, there's good biographies and A&E specials and all sorts of stuff about his career, like biographically. And this is a deep dive into the actual work. So it's a complete picture from the start of his career. We start with his rookie match and we end with the match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. And we just provide that kind of thoughtful and what I hope is an interesting picture about the art of wrestling pertaining to one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star in the history of wrestling. So it's called Stunning, The Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. It's available now. You can get it on Amazon. We've got all the versions up there, paperback, Kindle, ebook, e-version, what have you. And it's also got some really great artwork with it. K. Thor Jensen was the artist. We asked for 11 pieces of art. He came back with over 100. So it was a really cool way to kind of spice up the book.
Good return on investment there, bud.
And it's a good, it's all original work. And it kind of like gives a nice flavor to the matches we discuss. So it's awesome to have out there. I think you guys out there would all enjoy it and hope you check it out. I really hope you do.
Once again, where can they get it on Amazon, any other stores and stuff like that too? It won't be hard to find.
It won't be hard to find. Amazon is the best place for it right now. They're turning around copies pretty quick. So
nice.
If you get in and
you getting good reports on this, is moving so far. Are you getting some nice numbers on this so far?
Numbers are good, man. Yeah, numbers are good. Business is good with it. But every little bit helps. Look, like this is an independent publisher. If you guys know Jonathan Snowden and Hybrid Shoot, they kind of supported the project. They published it. They did a really nice job. And so not only do you get a nice,
you raised money online for this too.
Yes, we did.
You did some
money online.
You did all the indie work on this, man, to make this possible. I remember you telling me about this, like, I want to say not the last All Out, but the All Out before.
The All Out prior, yeah.
So you've been working on this how many years? 2 years now?
Oh, more than that. So it started in 2021 was when I wrote the first word of the book was in 2021, April of 2021. And so it was, it's a process, writing a book, getting the book together and the editing, the editing.
And wrestling fans already do this. I'm going to do it to you now, Zach. I'm going to do it. So what's the next book, dude? What's the next book?
I know.
They didn't even see this one. They're already
business needs to be good on this one for that. But I hope so. It worked well. And hey, check it out. I think you guys will be happy that you did, and you get to support independent publishing and, read a good book at the same time.
Give them the full title again and where they can find you on socials and stuff like that, so they don't go, oh, I went and got the wrong book or something like that. Because this is an independent book. This isn't like, a fully authorized book. This is like a completely independent creation.
Independent creation. It's called Stunning, the Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. You'll have the right book because it's Steve Austin flipping you off. That's the cover. And you can get it on Amazon right now. Any kind of version you want, we have up there for sale. If you forget that and you need more information, you can find me on Twitter. I've got all sorts of different links there for you guys to get it from. Zach_Heydorn, Heydorn. You can also follow the publisher, which has some other great pieces of work coming up later this year and into next. It's at Hybrid Shoot.
All right, so give it up to them. What? Go, Steve Austin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Working hard down there in Chicago. Stunning Steve.
There it is.
See, it's hard to do the voice. It's really hard.
Found it.
Man, you did
found it right away.
Found it right. Zach's the man, dude. You found it right away. Like Nick's the man. One of you with a CAK.
Thank you, sir.
So we already have people doing this. I don't mind. Let's get into this question. I'll speak in some questions here. We're halfway through the show. We'll talk about AEW Double or Nothing, and I think we got to talk about Cody and that Paul fella.
Yes.
People ask us about Sportskeeda Wrestling. To be clear, I am separate from the entire editorial team of Sportskeeda Wrestling, but we're streaming, and we get asked this often. Why do you use your headlines for current AEW wrestlers, guys who are in WWE, that are in AEW as former WWE stars? The answer to that is pretty simple. I don't control those things, but I can tell you the logic and the psychology behind thinking that. And if you're an AEW fan, you don't take this the wrong way. More people Google WWE. And more people Google WWE superstars. So it's a search engine optimized thing. It's not a shot. It's how can we get more people? More people know, oh, you're not a pro wrestler. You're in WWE. So it's just kind of like a sense of understanding. You know what I mean? You know the difference between your local like hot dog hamburger place or McDonald's. Oh, I'm going to a McDonald's-like place. I'm going to the local McDonald's. Some people say that. And it's just kind of simplifying things. Some people say it's dumbing down. Some people say it's optimizing. I would say it's more of the optimizing. Here we go. Kevin O'Farrell. AEW pay-per-view will be guys going through stupid crap, getting hit with stupid stuff, 3 5-minute setup moves, no story further or started. They want to beat ECW with the bankroll. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Nick, AEW Double or Nothing going down. Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, there is, it feels like there's pressure on this show. With all the blowback and different things that have been going on with AEW outside of the ring, there's been some questionability. There's been some good matches set up here. I've seen them pivot recently. Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, is not the hot property she was when she hit the market with them. Hasn't wrestled for AEW. They wanted her to do promos for 2 months and be like a babyface who got attacked by somebody. And they've seen that Willow Nightingale, the babyface she's taking on, who has the AEW Women's TBS Championship, is more over than her and is getting a bigger reaction as a babyface. So now I think they made the right decision this past week during a contract signing to get the heat on Mercedes Moné, who disrespected her, and they've kind of slightly been doing. Zach, do you think this is a strong pivot? Because this was a big selling point for the pay-per-view. This is her first match in AEW. It should feel like a bigger deal. I'm not saying it doesn't feel special, but it should feel more special. Am I wrong?
You're definitely not wrong. I mean, it should feel more special. I still think they're trying to get, intrigue out of Mercedes' first match in AEW. Mm-hmm. You got to try because that's the whole point. That is the selling point here. So you still want to lean into that. And I think the only way to do that successfully was making the pivot that they made. I mean, you don't want to go out there and have those two have a match and have the audience reactions just be completely all over the place for this big star that you just brought in Mercedes Moné. That would be a nightmare. Here, at least they got the heat on her now. And so if the crowd boos her on Saturday night or Sunday night, then that's fine. That plays along with the match. They're not swimming upstream in that scenario. So this is not necessarily a win, but it's the best way they can move forward and not have it be a complete and utter disaster.
Nick, she's got to win this belt, though, right? Mercedes Moné has to walk out of Vegas with this belt.
I mean, that's the way I see it going down. You want to get some heat on her. She's the heel in this match going in. Have her walk away with the belt. That's the way to go with it.
I agree. International Championship, Roderick Strong versus Will Ospreay. They've been building this with, simplified promos and different things with everything going with Will Ospreay. He seems like the strongest of the signings they've had. Which is shocking to say in comparison to Mercedes Moné and other people, Kazuchika Okada. But in terms of getting a reaction, this guy's getting it, right, Zach? I just think this is his title to win in this match.
It is. He's walking away with the title in this match for sure. I have mixed feelings on that because it's like you have all your top stars in AEW on the men's side, walking around with some kind of championship belt, and in my head, it's like
I dare most people who follow AEW to name all of the champions.
Oh man,
dude! Now you're putting me on the spot. I'm not even gonna try.
No, but I think I think AEW will do All Out here in Chicago. I think that's an idea. Nick, isn't that an idea for a video? We just go outside of the arena and say, name all the champions right now.
Name all the
And we
Name
got to have
all
a
of them.
prize, though. You have to have a prize.
Yes. And no looking at anything. You just have to name it. You just have to go up to somebody and name it off the top of your head right now. Name all of them. And you got to get them all. I know, I'm joking. Another championship match. This is the AEW World Title. I'm jumping around. We won't cover all the matches, just the more bigger ones here. Sorry if some people feel slighted. Toni Storm's beating Serena Deeb, by the way. I don't think we have to dig much into that. This is going to be Toni Storm makes a fun entrance. Toni Storm makes fun of Serena Deeb. Toni Storm wins the match. I'm sorry. AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage. They've done some heat. These guys used to be in a faction together. Christian Cage has the most over-heel promos in the business right now, Zach. Something makes me think Swerve isn't leaving Vegas with the title.
Isn't leaving Vegas for the title. I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna push back on that one. I think Swerve is definitely leaving Vegas with the title. You can push your chips in on that opinion. I think he's gonna.
I get it because it's Vegas because they gamble.
See what I did there? Yeah.
Oh, clever guy. See, Nick, this is why I bring in the good guests. But
Yes, sir.
No, I think this is Christian Cage is a perfect opponent for Swerve right now. I mean, he's a heel that gets heat, like real heat, and he wants to be booed. And I think Swerve coming out of like the stuff with Joe, where he's not necessarily a mixed reaction, but Joe's cool. Who boos Samoa Joe these days? Mm-hmm. So I think this is good. I think that Swerve needs a notch on the belt, just a clean win, and I think Cage is the guy to do that. So there you go.
Yeah, I have to agree with Zach here. I'm agreeing with Zach on this one.
All right, you're with him on
walking out. Yep, he's walking out with the belt in this one.
I know. I just something I was like, if they really want to get some heat on, to the next level and have somebody to chase, you gotta have somebody to chase, right? Christian would be a fun guy to chase.
Very true.
Ricky Castillo saying, I'm late to the course, but of course AEW is going to have a better pay-per-view PLE. People are going to compare them whenever they're on this. Nick and Zach, you guys know this. Whenever they're on the same weekend, people always compare, and there's much more of a tighter comparison. And yes, but also. Here's why I put more pressure on AEW. Some people think I'm biased. You're asking me to pay money for it.
Oh, yeah.
In a different way. So I think you have to deliver a better show. You have to. There's no other option then. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm like. There's no other option. You don't have any other options. You cannot deliver a on par show. No, you have to deliver one that even someone who's a common WWE fan will be like, well, you got me there. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to have a couple of those. And I think WWE has a strong deck, at least up top, and they've simplified things and focused on a handful of matches. We'll cover Cody and Logan Paul and how I think they've done some very, very clever, odd things there. Odd, but clever. I'll leave it at that. Do want to talk about this, the Anarchy in the Arena match. This is the one that has the most heat on it, Zach. The Young Bucks did all this ridiculousness. They attacked Tony Khan, the president of the company, who said he would never be in an angle, and then he was in an angle, and they used CM Punk security footage to get themselves over, and CM Punk wasn't there to pay it off, and then they beat up Kenny Omega. All right, they have heat there, and this builds to the elite of Kazuchika Okada, the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, versus Team AEW, which has Bryan Danielson, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, and Darby Allin taking the place of Eddie Kingston, who suffered a leg injury. And Anarchy in the Arena matches, they've done these before. These are wild, all over the place matches, kind of similar to the Stadium Stampede. To me, this could end either way, just as long as they deliver a spectacle, right?
Yeah, this has to be spectacle. This has to be craziness. This has to be at least one stunt bump for it. Yeah. But I think it's going to have all those things. I think they know that. They know the Anarchy.
A lot of banged up guys in this, though. Brandon Danielson's coming off some injuries here. Darby Allin just got hit by a bus.
Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, there's just
they do.
And I'm telling Darby, don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, please, Darby, don't.
Darby. Yeah, just use a crash pad, man. It's okay.
Watch, they're gonna try and hit him with a car.
I think they're gonna do some kind of bus spot for sure.
Yeah, I think they're gonna telegraph it and come up in a bus. They're gonna roll up in a bus and say they have a bus, and they're gonna try and hit him with a bus. Watch.
This match is one promo away. One promo away, I think, for having the build that it needs. I think you need to have the Young Bucks this week explain just what the hell's going on. Like why do they seemingly want AEW, the company they helped build, like burn to the ground? They need to like connect
firing people left and right.
Yeah, I think if they do that,
they're getting. Thing is, I'll say this: they're getting heel heat, but there's this question of whether or not they're truly dangerous guys, or are they just like chicken shiz heels? And they're coming off more chicken shiz than we're dangerous and we're an honest threat without pulling any strings. You know, they're like cruiserweight Mr. McMahon's. You know, and I mean that in the right way, but that isn't a bad thing. You need characters, right? It's the one critique is people say that AEW doesn't have enough characters that are just on the microphone. Other strong matches in the card: Adam Copeland defends the TNT Championship against Malachi Black in a barbed wire steel cage match. Jon Moxley to defend the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship of New Japan Pro Wrestling against Takeshita. I think he'll win that. Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta, the former friends, now foes. And Chris Jericho versus someone to be announced, the winner of a three-way eliminator with Hook, Shibata, and Brian Keith, and that'll be on Dynamite this week. Pretty strong pay-per-view. This doesn't like jump off the page, but this brings me to some other news about AEW. And everyone says I'm too negative on AEW, but I feel the pressure on them, and they have to pick it up. Because WWE just signed all these money deals and you're getting compared to them. And that is the circumstance in which fans choose. You know, they're choosing with their dollar and they're choosing with their time. And they're going to choose with their dollar and they're going to choose with their time this weekend. And maybe some people are going to want to just go to Peacock and watch the show on Saturday. And then I'll go to Sportskeeda and I'll read the results. You know, like, or vice versa. I'm skipping that. I'm watching the pay-per-view on Sunday. You know, a lot of people choosing their time. So that's kind of the conversation we're having. We'll get a little bit more into King and Queen of the Ring. I want to talk about this, Zach. The media partner of AEW has been doing some very, very interesting things. Warner Brothers Discovery has been in almost since they've been with the company, a state of fluctuation in terms of ownership, in terms of some people owning it. Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery is partially owned by the Warner Brothers Discovery Group. There's some ownership changes possibly there, so that could change things. And then, is my signal holding up pretty well?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, I just saw a bar here.
Sound great.
All right, good. I was concerned. So my other issue was you have them do this upfronts. For you guys who don't know what upfronts is, it's basically like you go to advertisers and buyers for advertisers and middle ground agencies from major Fortune 500 companies. And you say, this is the next docket of content that we will have on our cable television portfolio for the next year. While all that's happening, AEW is not a central part of that presentation. Okay. They're mentioned barely in it, but they're not treated like a big deal. And it's also worth noting some people are still very, very bullish on the idea that they signed with Warner Brothers Discovery. Fightful has said it seems likely some announcement could come in the summer. But if I'm AEW, I don't want that announcement in the upfronts. I want us going to advertisers saying, my show, which is on 3 days a week on your cable television channels, is going to be there. Now, there is some positive news. Fightful reporting in their bullish report, which is a positive one for AEW fans, a positive for the wrestling industry, that a new deal is really built around. And most of Warner Brothers Discovery's new deals, I'm getting a note here on the screen here. Give me 1 second here. Be careful. You put what in the I put what? A stop? Oh, all right, cool. All right, great. I did what? I what? Okay, all right, hang on.
You gotta live live.
I didn't touch anything. All right, people telling me. All right. I don't know what's going on. So someone call me in the other room. Can you guys hop in and keep going on this for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So, Zach, you got a new book coming out.
I do.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Would you say that he's probably one of your favorite wrestlers of all time? Because, I mean, you wrote a book about him, or what was the thought process? What made you want to write a book about Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, so when I picked him as the guy that I was going to do the book around, the idea started with like, hey, do a book about the artistry of wrestling. There's a lot of biographies out there, but nothing like that. And that kind of interests me to begin with. And then I brought it to the editor, and he's like, good idea, but that's a huge undertaking. Like, because you're talking Japanese wrestling and European wrestling and wrestling in Mexico, lucha, all sorts of things. It's just too big a scope. So he's like, drill it down. Why don't we take that idea, but apply it to one person's career and think about who you want that to be. And so when I was thinking about that, it was, okay, I want it to be a really big star because I want it to be somebody that people know, that changed the business, and for the better. and is recognizable. And so that narrowed the list down considerably.
Right.
And then when I was looking at it, I'm just like, man, who's Steve Austin's a wrestler who I appreciate. Yes, obviously I grew up watching him as a kid, but more so than that, what always stood out to me is like his connection with the audience. Like, and that is always a priority. Even when he talks about wrestling now, it's all about, do you have the audience or do you not? Like, do you have them? Do you not? Are they reacting? Or are they not? Can you manipulate them to feel what you want them to feel? And I've always felt like that is like the real art of wrestling. Yes, you have to be athletic, and yes, you have to be able to do the moves. But the point of all of that is to pull a reaction out of the audience that you want. And I've always thought that Steve Austin was the best at that. And so when I thought in depth about, okay, that's good, can we do it? You start looking at the eras that he had in his career, and it's a roadmap to that. So the pieces just fell into place after that point.
Well, yeah, that's, a great reason to pick Stone Cold Steve
Pick it
Austin.
up.
And yeah,
I love it.
I'm definitely going to pick it up. Everybody else, go get it. If
you
you're
move a
listening.
keyboard and everyone loses their mind in another room. I love it. That's what happened. That's what happened.
We got
I
a chance.
I will not tell you on this air what happened. All right, so
Okay.
so we'll keep moving along here. About this AEW deal and everything that's going to happen with them. They get a TV deal, right? Is that what we're thinking? They get a TV deal, but I just don't know if they get. Do they get a bunch more? Because the whole market for TV, like in live sports rights, is through the roof.
I think they get a TV deal for sure. I don't. To me, it's not really like if they get one. It's just kind of when they get one and what is it exactly. Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, you want a lot of money for it, and you want to raise. I think if you're AEW, at least that's the goal.
Yeah.
I also think you do want a streaming component though as part of this. Like that's where the industry
fans
is going.
Want it. The fans want it.
Fans want it. You should want it as a business. So my guess is that that's a part of this too. But I don't know where they go. The worst thing would be Warner Brothers going, hey, we're not in the you're great AEW, we love you. We're not. This is not part of the strategy anymore. That would be an issue.
How much do you think the NBA rights moving around with them is a part of that though? Because I think that's a huge part of it. Like in terms of what they're going to spend, if they're not going to have as much NBA, if they're going to have some NBA. Because the NBA rights are going to get diced up across like 4 different networks, and NBA is such a big part of what Turner does on TBS and TNT.
Yeah, I think that's a massive factor in there. I think that they're kind of waiting to see what happens with all that before they move forward with AEW, because they've been with NBA for so long, and it's been, it's worked out with the NBA for them. So I do think that is a factor in all this.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, as things move on here, I want to get into some other things here before we sign up for the day. I want to fire off some questions. If you got any, go ahead and get them in there. We have another big match this weekend, and I didn't touch on it when we talked Team Queen of the Ring. I wanted to keep the tournament separate and keep this separate. I said this crazy thing on the show last week, Zach, and the more I think about it, I keep thinking this is a possibility. I'm not saying I want it to happen. Nick is smiling because he knew how much I kind of disturbed my own brain when the idea came into it. What are the chances Logan Paul actually defeats Cody Rhodes and becomes the WWE champion in Saudi Arabia? Because if it was to happen, I'm not saying it's going to happen. And I'm not saying I want it to happen as a fan. Take off this hat, put on fan hat, right? No, I'm saying you want to get some attention. You got this Jake Paul situation in about 2 months time. It's going to take on Mike Tyson, and the Pauls are going to be the talk of the sports world, whether they want to be or not. Whether they are a good talk, you can talk about you're selling some tickets, right? No matter what. And the thrill is in the chase. Does WWE do the most shocking thing they can do and screw Cody Rhodes out of this title in Saudi Arabia? I'm not saying I want it to happen, but I'm saying how much more attention do you get if Cody loses or he's screwed than you do if he wins valiantly? How much more?
You get a lot of attention. You get attention.
Good attention or bad attention?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was like, I don't know that the attention would be all that positive for them. I mean, here's the other thing to consider with that. I mean, where is that Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight taking place too? By the way, how are you going to watch that? It's on Netflix.
On Netflix.
Soon to be partner.
What is WWE doing in January? They're
going
to be on
right.
Netflix.
They're going to be on Netflix. So I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. But because I think it's enough.
But I mean, it's an evil idea.
Why do you got to put that thought out there? Why do you got to put that into the universe?
I'm an evil person for bringing it up. I know I am. But I just keep thinking like it makes so much business sense for them to do it. It makes so much sense. How? I'm not saying Cody's cooled off. He hasn't. Right? I thought he had a very good match with AJ Styles. But you have to throw in the chase. You have to throw in the chase. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you had the thrill of him chasing Logan Paul into a situation. Now, mind you, he wins. Great. If Logan Paul has an impressively good match again, where he exceeds all these expectations, and he's already proven he can be a very good pro wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be a great pro wrestler, but he's a very good WWE superstar. And that takes a long, long time to figure out. But this is a guy who had entertainment experience before. It's another test. There's a novel appeal when he gets in these solo matches, but he delivers on it. You know? So I just think there's a really fascinating ability to truly have an outsider. And he still loves playing that role. Come in and say, oh, yeah, I'm better than all you guys. And I haven't even done this long. You grew up in this. You had a silver spoon in your mouth, and you had to take this long to get here. And look what I did, dude. Oh, it's nice. He plays the roles very, very well. He duped Cody Rhodes into signing a contract that basically says, you don't get a shot at my title, I'll get a shot at your title. I was like, that's great. But he could also lose and still be the United States champion. They were teasing something with him and LA Knight. Does LA Knight get involved in the mix here and we set something else down the line? What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. That's what I think.
Okay.
I definitely see that happening.
You did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about that. I definitely see that happening.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if they just get you to think it for 2.5 seconds, that Logan Paul, this Gen Z scumbag guy that me and everyone who's a millennial and a Gen X hates, right? And if you're a young kid who's like 13, 14, you're kind of like, I don't like the Logan Paul guy. Or you're in your early 20s and you're watching Logan Paul videos and you're like 10. You're like, I like to see that. Like, you know, like there's a fascination there. You know, there's a lot of curiosity with this. I think WWE should have saved this. Should have been a bigger match for SummerSlam. I would have saved this if you weren't doing The Rock and something like this. I would have saved it. That was the only thing I thought of. I was like, oh, they're giving. But also in Saudi Arabia, they kind of want the celebrity factor too. They kind of respond to that a little bit more. So, before we sign off, what do you guys think of this crazy story? The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's representatives on their entertainment arm here that spend these tens of millions of dollars in this WWE deal, which was controversial when it started in 2018. That's kind of cooled off, even though there's many other things that are questionable about Saudi Arabia socio-politically. I will not get into them. You can look them up. And some people question WWE, but WWE would lay off hundreds of thousands of people if they didn't have this deal. It is a very significant deal that is a part of their portfolio and the business they do. And some of your wrestlers that you like wouldn't be contracted to them. A lot of what Saudi Arabia does, they spend a lot of money, and they were the first real foreign company to come in and say, we're going to buy rights to WWE events for the next period of time. They're going to extend the relationship and expand it reportedly, speaking with Ariel Helwani. And this could include major WWE quarterly events, not these kind of non-canonical ones that kind of plugged in that have made big. They had a grandest Royal Rumble. Now they want a Royal Rumble. They just want the Royal Rumble, and they want a WrestleMania. So they've kind of stated that. I think a Royal Rumble is more likely to go down in Saudi Arabia. I just think it'd be a very, very hard sell to fans around the world to feel that level of, not to say they wouldn't feel comfortable going to Saudi Arabia. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't strike me to have the same alarm and pull that like a Las Vegas does, or a London, or cities that haven't had a WrestleMania yet. Overseas, Mexico City, I think is one that would be great. I think Saudi Arabia they've proven they can spend a lot of money and create a WWE spectacle with WWE. I'm just hesitant to think a WrestleMania is in the cards for them right now. But money talks, right? And they certainly got a lot of money, and it's talking.
Yeah,
Hop in here. I don't care who wants to hop in. We'll close.
I'll be real quick. Yeah, I just want to say I agree. I think Royal Rumble is a possibility. WrestleMania, in addition to like the issues fans would have with it, WWE uses WrestleMania week as a major like event for sponsors and partners and other businesses that they're dealing with that may not feel the same way that they do about a relationship with the Saudi Arabia.
Yes, they'll still have a relationship with WWE, separate of all this other stuff.
Separate of all of it. But when they say, "Hey, come out to Riyadh, for WrestleMania," like they would.
And Riyadh's a world-class city. I'm not saying you can't have it, but there's now you open up. You're kind of pulling more threads to other beehives that are in trees, so exactly. It's I think Royal Rumble's more of a possibility. Yeah, Royal Rumble's possible, but WrestleMania, like you said, it is a week-long thing, and is that something that is Riyadh that type of destination yet, and WrestleMania's evolved into this destination show where people pitch for it. But I'm telling you, Saudi's got the money. They have the money.
They have the money.
And how much money they want. And will fans who are just watching at home be okay with that? That's another thing, is I think will fans be okay with that? I think fans are okay with them. You guys get a Crown Jewel show. That's your show. You guys get Crown Jewel. You guys get King of the Ring. All right, that makes sense. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It makes some sense, right? Mm-hmm. But there's going to be those portions of fans like, you guys don't give them a Royal Rumble. Don't give them a SummerSlam. Definitely don't give them a WrestleMania. There's going to be people that say that for sure.
I agree.
The people with different takes here and all these different things here. A lot of people swearing in our comments. God bless you. Ricky Costello, if Cody loses to Logan, you bust out that poster that says LMAO Cody. And other people saying controversy makes money. It does. It does make money. It creates cash.
I don't know if this is
somebody said that, I think.
Yeah. Other people yelling, Cody, no, WWE does not need another part-time champion. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm just saying, like, what if? I'm leaning into the what if portion of it, guys. Marvin L. Preston. I watched AEW and WWE shows next weekend. I'll watch all the pay-per-views, TNA, AEW, and WWE. Good for you, buddy. It's a little time. Great time to be a pro wrestling fan here. Great time to be a pro wrestling fan. As we wrap up here, Zach, once again, give him the hard sell for that book you got out. The wonderful, stunning, the artistry of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Tell them about it, where they can get it.
Guys, you can get this book right now at Amazon. If you like hard copies, it's there, paperback. You can get Kindle edition, e-edition. This is a book chronicling the wrestling artistry of Steve Austin, one of the biggest stars in the history of professional wrestling. We start at the beginning of his career in 1989. We go all the way to his match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. And we analyze the art of the work in the ring. If that's your jam and you like wrestling and you like Steve Austin, and even if you just like wrestling and you hate Steve Austin, you can get a lot out of this book. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a labor of love for sure. Help support independent publishing. Get a copy today. You'll be happy that you did.
Thank you guys so much for checking out what I'm doing. Nick, what do you got going on? Where can they follow you, bud?
You can follow me on X and Instagram at Nick_Harksen. That's NICK_HARKSEN.
I have so much going on when I'm not pumping into keyboards I shouldn't be touching. I'm gonna if you're streaming this right now, go to Q101.com. I'm gonna be on Q101 today. Nice. I'm a rock radio DJ when I'm out here running from one microphone to the next. I had to bring a microphone to the radio station just to do this today. And so I'll be on air with them, Q101, and we are busy as well in the comedy world. Roast Battle Chicago, quite busy with that. Just launched a brand new show on our Patreon. You can subscribe for $5. Get completely uncensored shows where comedians punch each other in the mouth. And if you don't want to pay, I don't want to pay the $5, well, go sample it. It's on YouTube. We just dropped a whole new show on there, and you can watch it. We have the best roast battle show in the world. New York, you can suck it. LA, you can suck it. We have the best. We're the best. We are currently tied for first place to the American East Conference of the Roast Battle League. Pat Barker, if you let New York come in and get us, buddy, I'm not happy about that. That's commissioner. I just call it the commissioner. Go check out everything we're doing. Roast Battle Chicago on YouTube, Roast Battle Chicago on Patreon, all that good stuff. And of course, everything we have going on here at Sportskeeda. We just dropped a bunch of new videos, man. A deep dive into the history, 40 minutes going into the history of Miz, about how awesome and underrated he is. And he has the stats to back it up. One detailing the career of how WWE at some point wasted Dolph Ziggler and then figured out what they had, and then they maybe wasted him again. We go into that. So those videos are up right now on the channel. Thank you so much for checking us out on YouTube. On the podcast side of things, give us a like. All the shows here on the podcast side of things are here with Vince Russo, bro. All right, doing right with Russo and Legion of Raw. And then we have Unscripted with Bill Apter. We have Teddy Long as well, and the Wrestling Time Machine, a new episode. Smack Talk up with Dutch Mantel. All that stuff. We're also dropping some audio from these like documentaries we do on YouTube. We drop them on a podcast from time to time too. So nearly 7 days of audio every day. So go check it out. Thank you guys so much. Zach, I'm going to cue to Nick because he knows the sign out phrase. It's a very simple thing I ask him to do. Nick, you're not touching buttons you're not supposed to touch today, correct?
I am not touching any buttons over here, no.
Okay. All right. You're not pressing the button that says Cody Rhodes loses the title of that logo.
Oh, I'm definitely not touching that one.
Don't press that one.
Nope.
But when you're not like me stumbling into keyboards, because it's like right over here. What are you trying to do when you watch this wrestling?
I'm trying to enjoy wrestling.